Hello Games have done it. They have added gyro controls to the Nintendo Switch version of No Man's Sky. I really like No Man's Sky. I've made several videos on this channel with this game, including a Let's Play series. I was really happy to see this game coming to the Nintendo Switch, and since I got it, there's one thing that's been missing to make this version even more special, and that was gyro controls. This control scheme was added in the new Fractal update, which also brings a brand new expedition to the game. I am super happy right now and can't wait to talk about it, so sit back, relax, like, subscribe, and hopefully enjoy. Here we go. Here it is. Gyro controls are now available for us all to use during gameplay, and the best thing is Hello Games didn't just add basic gyro controls. Oh, no. In true Hello Game style, they have added gyro and a suite of options for us to change. You can find the new options by going to the options menu down here on the bottom left hand side, which has been added to the main menu. And you will see this options menu. Now you go to controls and you will see brand new options that are available. Just look at all these options. I won't go through all these options here, as I might do another options and features video. Let me know if you want me to do that down below. Hello Games have also gone to the trouble of adding gyro to all three Switch modes. That's TV, tabletop, and handheld modes. To be fair, TV and tabletop seem to work in pretty much the same way, where the Joy-Con acts as the pointer and you can use the cursor around the screen. Handheld works pretty much like what you'd think. You can move around the tablet with the controllers attached, and that will move the player's point of view. There is actually a setting to change this in the options too. A side note, handheld mode does not seem to have motion controls for the menus, but then again, in handheld you do have access to touchscreen controls instead. So what aspects of the game did they add gyro/motion controls to? In short, everything, except for flying. At least I couldn't get these controls to work while flying. There are some issues, but we will get to those a little bit later on, so let's go through each gameplay style one by one and check the difference. So first, menus. Originally, when navigating through menus, the player would press the left and right bumpers to change the type of inventory. Now I find myself easily pointing and clicking through these like I do on the computer version and no longer drag the cursor around on screen to each menu heading. I think using the personal refiner is a really good example of the gyro controls being used in a menu. So let's use the personal refiner as an example. I'm going to refine copper into chromatic metal, but I'm going to show you what it was like before gyro and now after gyro. So here we are in the inventory. I don't have gyro turned on, so I'm going to grab this copper right here. I'm going to go to my personal refiner, add the copper in here to the left. Where is it? Go through the menu. There it is. I'm going to grab it here, drag it to there, and now I'll have to select how much chromatic metal, so give me a second. Okay, now that we have the right amount, I'm going to click on begin. So that's the process of making the chromatic metal from the copper, but you see there's a lot of dragging involved as you're making it. And now I'm going to wait until this actually goes to 100%, because then after, we have to move it into the inventory too. So here we are, chromatic metal back into the inventory, copper back into the inventory, and we're done. Now let's see the same process, but using gyro controls. I think you'll be able to see on screen, it's just so much easier. So here we are, same process. You can see that the cursor, I'm just moving it around so much easier. So I'm in the personal refiner, go here, click there to go for the copper, put the copper in there, and now click on begin. We're making more or less the same amount of chromatic metal that we did before, but hopefully you can see it's just so much easier to move around the screen. And again, I'm going to wait for the 100% so that we can put everything back into the exosuit. So here we are, grab that, straight into the exosuit, and the copper just went automatically because I was out of copper. Hopefully you can see how easy it is to now navigate around a game area in these screens. I'm selecting and moving items in a more seamless manner. To me, it literally feels very similar to mouse gameplay on the computer, just on a console. Now moving on to gameplay on foot. So if you have played No Man's Sky, you know that we look around the environment quite a lot in third person or in first person, depending on which gameplay style you prefer. And here I'm going to show you what it's like to use the visor without gyro controls. This is pretty much how we all played it before the update. So you can see here that looking around is fine, it's serviceable. Oh, I found a copper deposit there and I've marked it, which is really good. It's just, again, it seems a little bit clunky, which is absolutely fine. But here I'm going to change it now to gyro controls. And hopefully once again, you can see it's just so much easier to move around and it just seems smoother as well. Every time you're moving the camera, I'm obviously using the analog sticks with the gyro controls. Oh, and I just noticed there's a salt deposit there this time. And I'm looking towards the same place. So there's that copper deposit and I've marked it. Again, it just seems like the game is so much easier to play now by using the analog stick for majority of the viewing and then using gyro for refined movement. Next up is mining. Now there is no better example for me than collecting ore to create chromatic metal. With analog stick only controls, this never felt 100% satisfying, as I would have to constantly move the right analog stick so that the terrain manipulator wouldn't just create a massive hole in the straight line. You should be able to see that with the footage that you have been seeing on screen, there's just a almost jumpy feeling to it. Again, it is serviceable, just not the best way to do it. So here I am at the same copper deposit, but with gyro controls turned on. I hope this really does translate through on the video. It's just having the small pinpoint accuracy. It makes all the difference, and everything once again just seems that more intuitive. I really do have to say that one thing I do find as well is just everything felt much quicker. Every process that I was doing in the game that involved gyro aiming just felt so much quicker to do now, which is just excellent. It saves you time when you're playing it with this on. Again, this is all just my opinion. Right, moving on to combat next. I can't understate how big of a change a small refined movement is in-game combat. What you're seeing on screen is gyro controls turned off. Once again, does it work? Absolutely, it does. I've played it like this for a while. It's fine, but you do notice something is missing. One thing I would like to point out is you can see the enemies here in the distance. When capturing this footage, I did notice that it was a little bit more difficult, but I think hopefully you can see on screen I couldn't make that small movement to get the enemy. Now, in the same area using gyro controls, it's just so much faster and easier to point with gyro and then move the analog stick around and make those small adjustments. I wanted to once again show you a similar sort of view that I had earlier, which is the enemy is pretty far away, and you can see here, it's so easy. It really is so easy to point the cursor around and just defeat any enemy in your view. If you miss, it's probably my fault if I'm missing, to be fair. And the last bit that I want to tackle here is building. So when I used gyro for the first time in building mode, I didn't even think about it. I just started to build stuff at my base. As you can see here, I was building a battery on the roof, which I've been wanting to do for a while. And it was literally so seamless that I completely forgot I was using gyro. Before, when you were in the building mode, it just felt similar to the other features that I've mentioned before. It felt just a little bit clunkier than it needed to be. So to make these small, intricate changes now, even just rotating the object and moving it at the same time, it's just so satisfying now to do it. Now, I did say that building was the last one because they've also added gyro controls to the Exocraft, but when I play No Man's Sky, I only use the gyro controls for mining, so it's pretty much the same for the on-foot gameplay. Now, I would like to point out, these are just with the settings that I had set to on. You can set gyro controls to off. Obviously, I've done that throughout this video, but you can actually set the gyro controls to always on. But that mode I'm not a big fan of. I don't like seeing the camera moving all the time when gyro is turned on when we're just running around. I'm not a fan, but you can do that if you so wish. But all in all, motion controls / gyro controls being added to No Man's Sky, is it perfect out of a box? Well, no. Like I said, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I can't seem to get the ship gameplay to use gyro controls. I think it hasn't been added, but hey, it might have been, I just don't know how to do it, I'm not too sure. Also, I did have to go into the options menu and change a few toggles so that the cursor wouldn't just move by itself. When turning the option for gyro to on, I noticed a quite wobbly cursor which from time to time would either move by itself or was just trembling on the screen. So by going into the new motion controls options and changing a few things, this was considerably fixed. So I set the cursor acceleration from 1 to 1.5. The enable advanced motion sensor option I set to on. The rotation space for handheld mode from local to player rotation. I would like to stop here and say if you're having problems in handheld mode and you find that when you move it, it's going to the opposite of where you're moving, that's this option. Change that from local to player rotation, that will fix that. Tightening threshold I set from 0 to 0.5 and the dead zone I set from 0 to 1.5. With these settings, I think this is an absolute great addition to No Man's Sky on the Nintendo Switch. So overall, for me, this update, 2 thumbs up. Hello Games, good job. I really love it. Hopefully they can do something about the graphics and the pop-in a little bit further on. But I'm so happy. I always thought that Hello Games would do this, which is they're going to put the game on the Switch and then subsequently they will just patch more and more things. While I'm on that subject, here's hoping that that VR mode comes across just in 2D, because we do have a pair of Joy-Con that can be used as VR controllers, but obviously we're not going to do that with any sort of headset. But it would be fun just to try that out on the TV with the Joy-Con. Hey, we'll see in the future. But unfortunately, that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you very much again for watching. If you like what I do here, please click that like button down below. If you want to see more, please hit that subscribe button, because that is the only way this channel can grow. Now, I hope you liked this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. And until then, thanks again.